Have you got a fight coming up soon and do you want to cut weight safely and effectively so that you have the optimal performance for fight day? Stick around because this is the video for you. My name is Coach Andrew. I'm a former UFC gym coach, an online coach for fighters, and a bit of an amateur fighter myself. And I'm currently actually in the middle of a weight cut. So I thought, what better topic to talk about today than optimally and safely losing weight for your next fight? We've seen both sides of the spectrum, right? We've seen like Khabib hitting up the tiramisu. Ooh, I do love me some tiramisu. Over Christmas time, I had a tiramisu, homemade. Oh, and it was just, I got like a wafer stick and I used that as a spoon. It was just so good. Anyway, what are we talking about? We've seen people miss weight. It is unfortunately a part of the sport, but we have also seen other sides of the spectrum. People like Paddy Pimblett hitting ridiculous numbers outside of fight camp because he loves food and so do I. But then he makes weight. He sits at what, like 200 pounds, 200 plus pounds after the fight, but then he cuts weight to what, 155? This is almost like 50 pounds, that's crazy. So let's dive into the nitty gritty so that you don't really have to sit on either side. We can sit safely in the middle and get shit done. So the first and most important thing you need to do to lose weight is to track your food. That's it. It's really that simple. It's not super complicated. And you've probably seen some people just like, oh, I just eat this and I cut out carbs after midday and I do this and I do that. No, track your food. Everybody is different. Everybody's body reacts differently to food intake and different calories and different macros. So we need to know exactly where your maintenance calories are. We need to know how much we can scale the food down without sacrificing performance and sacrificing training. And that's that fine line we're trying to do. And without the actual numbers, how are we supposed to do that? How do you think how are we gonna do that? So the first thing we need to really track is the calories coming in. We need to know how much food you're actually consuming, how much fuel is actually going into your body, and then on a week by week basis, we can see, okay, if you're sitting on 3,000 calories, how is that affecting your weight? How is that affecting your energy levels? So for example, my maintenance calories sits at about 3,000. Now currently on my weight cut, I'm trying to sit anywhere between 22 and 25, closer to 25 if I can, just in order to fuel recovery and fuel my workouts. As long as you can aim to lose about half a kilo every week, you're on the right track. It doesn't have to be like drastic chunks of weight coming off, but we just need to know their numbers. We need those numbers. And now the body is amazing at really adapting to your lifestyle. So say I'm on 2,500 calories for a little bit too long, I'll jump on the scale and I'll be like, oh, I was losing weight the last few weeks and now I'm not. What do? That's when we can make adjustments. The other thing we need to track is our macros. The main three we need to track is protein, carbs, and fat. We need to keep the protein high. We're aiming like 0.7 to 1 gram per kilo of body weight. That's gonna allow our body to recover, repair, and get stronger. Not only that, but high protein foods, especially more natural forms of protein, are more satiating, more filling. So it really kind of helps if you're like in a bit of a deficit and you're feeling a little bit hungry, just smashing protein, you're generally in a good spot. Number two that we have to track is our carbohydrates. I know everybody thinks carbs are the enemy, especially when it comes to weight cutting, but carbs are fuel. Now, obviously, we can't go too crazy with carbs, and I get it. All the really good food is carbs. Pasta, pizza, basically anything from a bakery that I love. But once again, this is a number that we need to kind of figure out how your body responds really well. I like to find that depending on the person, anywhere between 150 to 300 carbohydrates a day is a good spot. But once again, everybody's different. Just try and figure out what works for you. But carbs are fuel. We definitely need them. If we're getting to a point where our weight starts to stick a little bit, one course of action is to reduce carbs, but generally that's not really the first option. Now, the third thing we need to track is our fats. Our fats are important for bodily functions. Okay, we need fats, we just don't need too many of them. So as long as you're like under 80 grams of fat a day, you should be in a good spot, which sucks because like ice cream has a lot of fat. Here's a perfect example, right? Sometimes I take my kids to McDonald's and I had a McOz burger, which is basically just like sort of like a quarter pounder, but it's got like a bit more salads, like beetroot and tomato and lettuce and stuff. It's got a decent amount of protein. Carbs aren't too bad. It's just got too much fat. I think it's got about 35 grams of fat. That's almost my daily fat intake. Like, oh man. Now, one benefit of like tracking everything and tracking your food and tracking all that is knowing that number allows us a bit of flexibility. So like, you know, maybe you got a dinner that's like super lean, maybe a little bit under. I mean, you can treat yourself to a little Snickers bar. You can treat yourself to a tiny little bit of ice cream. You've kept your fat low, your calories are low. you can have a little bit of ice cream. Sure, you maybe only have like 50 grams or 100 grams, which let me tell you, is very difficult when I pull out that triple caramel chunk Ben & Jerry's and I can only have 100 grams of that, and I look at it and I have to put the lid away instead of eating the whole thing. It's depressing, but it's what we gotta do. Sacrifices, am I right? So to kind of tag alongside that, another really important thing that's gonna help us safely cut weight for the fight is to structure our diet plan. So for example, I'm currently on about a 10-week weight cut. If I'm trying to lose, say, 10 kilos in 10 weeks, 5 kilos, 7 kilos in 10 weeks, it's a bit more doable, it's a bit more manageable. So what you wanna do is you wanna know how much time do you have before your fight, what weight are you trying to get to, what are you starting at, what do you naturally sit at, and then we need to structure our calories, structure our macros to accommodate for that. Let's use my own stats as an example. If my maintenance is at 3,000, maybe the first week or two, I sit at 2,500 calories. And then when my body starts to adapt, I drop it down to 24. Then I drop it down to 23. Then I drop it down to 22. And I can really scale that number down as far as my body will allow without sacrificing performance, which is the main priority here. If we sacrifice performance, what's the point? If you structure your diet alongside a structured training program, you could have a quote unquote diet deload at the same time that you have like a strength training deload. And that's gonna allow your body to just kind of like have a break for a second. It's gonna let your metabolism just kind of like, oh, okay, have a rest, we're good. And then you smash it again. So for example, if my maintenance is 3,000, I go 25, then 24, then 23, then 22. Maybe I stick at 22 for a week or two, and then I jump back up to 25 for a week, and then we start dropping back down. And now you can really play with those numbers. Everybody's different. Some people actually respond really well to stuff like that. Maybe you find that dropping down, you can sit at that lower calorie deficit for a longer period of time. And if you can, hell yeah, do it. But this is why those numbers are so important. We need weekly weigh-ins, we need weekly calorie counts, we need all that stuff so that we can make these adjustments if need be. Speaking of strength training has been shown to very effectively boost the metabolism, which is going to allow you to have a much easier weight cut. I know a lot of people don't like strength training, not so much in the MMA space. I feel like the MMA culture is a bit more open to the idea of strength training. And lately I've been seeing a lot of other combat sports like some Muay Thai guys and kickboxers and boxers and all that kind of stuff really get into the strength training side of things. But there are still a lot of people that are a bit more old fashioned and they just do push-ups all the time and squats and all that kind of stuff. But if we have an effective strength training program, our muscles will get stronger, right? Which will not only boost performance, the strength training will also reduce chance of injury. But on top of that, having more muscle means our body requires more fuel just to function. Therefore, our base metabolic rate will go up. Because let me tell you, my maintenance was not always 3,000. It's gonna give you a much easier time to weight cut. It's gonna be easier to hit macros. It's gonna give you a bit more flexibility in your food and all that kind of stuff. Look at bodybuilders, right? Really successful bodybuilders, they eat crazy amount of food. Powerlifters eat crazy amount of food. I have a mate that's currently, he's in a lean bulking phase of bodybuilding, and he is sitting at 4,000 plus calories. I don't know the exact number. I think like a cut for him is like 3,500 to 4,000. That's crazy, man. Like what? That's a lot of food to lose weight. What? But isn't that the dream? Don't you want to eat more food? I want to eat more food. I love food. Now, the final thing, and probably the most misunderstood thing when it comes to weight cutting, is cardio. Now, there are two main types of cardio that we want to really kind of look at in terms of cutting weight, right? We want long, steady state cardio, which is like your 30 to 60 minute runs. And then we have our interval staying, our HIIT circuits. Now, here's the thing. I am a big fan of both. I like incorporating both. I've been trying to do 2 days of running every week. I find that really helps me with the weight control. Boxers love it, Muay Thai guys love it. They love it not just for the cardio to help you build an aerobic base, to help you with the weight cut, but Muay Thai guys love it because it helps condition your shins. So if that's something that you're concerned about, I mean, that's another reason to run. But HIIT style circuits, high intensity interval training, has been shown to have many of the same benefits of long, slow duration cardio. HIIT style circuits are shown to be great at building cardio, helping with weight control, helping with flight conditioning. But what I like about HIIT circuits is there's so much flexibility with how we can apply them. Long, slow duration cardio, like going for a jog, is kind of more of the same, right? And I do like it for the mental benefits as well. But with a proper structured HIIT workout, we can really implement some of the benefits of strength training with some of the benefits of cardio in a way that'll translate to the fight really well. So generally, what I try to do is I try to have a bit of both. This is another one of those examples of like, is one really better than the other? And there's gonna be a bit of debate, right? But I think there are benefits to both. You could always benefit from both. Going for long distance runs has been a thing for generations of boxers and Muay Thai fighters. You can't argue when Muay Thai guys go for a run every single goddamn day. And look at those guys, they're beasts. But I'm seeing more and more jiu-jitsu guys, Muay Thai guys, MMA guys that are following properly programmed HIIT style workouts that are building the same, if not better, fight cardio. And the intensity of those HIIT workouts is going to elevate your heart rate, which is gonna help you sweat more. It's gonna keep your metabolism running like crazy. It's just a really effective way to lose weight. So I know sometimes it seems super complicated, but there it is. That's a pretty basic outline of how you can have a really safe weight cut for your next fight. Or if you just want a bit more knowledge of what you're eating and what you're taking in and how to properly maintain your diet, because your weight and your diet off camp, out of camp, off season is equally as important as when you're fighting, when you're in camp. So don't be lazy. Make sure you track everything. Make sure you have numbers. And if you found this video helpful, like and subscribe for some more goodness. We've almost made it through the whole month of January with a video every week and I'm feeling good. Hope you guys are enjoying the content. If you want some more, YouTube is going to tell you to go watch this one and I'll see you next week.